this movie in an outdoor theater in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, in like
Wow.
1995, I think.
What the
Damn.
hell?
So when it came out, huh?
It was cool, dude. It was for some reason while I was stationed there in the Army, we like lived in camps, you know. They had this outdoor theater and they would play horror movies. So like I watched The Birds, Rosemary's Baby, this. And then for some reason that Surviving the Game movie with Ice-T was
dude,
Dude,
I love that movie, dude. I love that.
It was good. It was good.
Gary Busey's monologue in that was the shit.
About the pit bull.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
digress. We digress.
Yeah,
We digress.
I just
Yeah,
wanted to share where I first saw this movie. It was
Good.
super
Yeah, that's
cool.
cool.
Which
Yeah.
is our other podcast.
Yeah. You can check that out on something.
Yeah, on something.
On www.whogivesashit.com.
Yeah, or whatever brings you
digress.
non-podcast podcast.
Yeah, we digress
.com.
podcast.
.com.
.net.
.org.
.edu. It's actually all of those.
Shaka bra.
There it is.
Shakabra.
There it is.
Nice.
The overall impression of this movie, it was a really good movie. It had so much in it that you have to watch it more than once, and you can enjoy it more than once. I mean, it's not a fucking blockbuster movie by any means.
And it's not going to be. It's not. I don't even know how much of a cult following this movie has.
I don't either.
Not
I mean,
as
there's
much.
some John Carpenter folks
Sure.
out there, which I think those are really your people.
Yeah.
People that are really deep into horror movies.
Right, and we talked about the budget being made back just barely at the box office, so I'm sure they made a chunk of change on the video releases like afterwards, but I'm not sure.
I don't think it was to the level of like some of his other movies.
And some other cult classics that really kicked off on the tape, on
Exactly.
the when
Well,
it came out on tape.
Big Trouble
and stuff.
Little China, as we've talked about, was a big one. Even The Thing.
Yeah,
You
The
know,
all of
Thing
them
definitely
huge.
is
Yeah.
a bit better example, I would say, is because
probably.
that would be one that when it came out, there was just so much going on.
1982's a loser.
No, there's just so much going on
There's a lot
that year,
going on.
and so that's a good example of a movie that didn't do well at the time, but came back through the cult status. This one, I'm not so sure, but like you said, Brock, I'm gonna agree with you on everything there. It's good. It's not too long. It's to the point. And a second viewing, it doesn't require a second viewing, but it is a second viewing
better.
is better the second time, I think, after you've
Prince
seen
of Darkness.
it once.
The first time you watch it, you're like, maybe, and then you watch it again, you're like, wow. The third time, you're like, holy
Wow.
shit, oh, yeah, wow. Yeah, fucking.
What are you, fucking Joey Lawrence over there?
That sounds like a robot that's like switching directions. Like,
Wow.
Tie back to Rob the Video Robot.
Rob the robot
Rob the video robot.
on Gyromite.
That's right.
Gyro.
Stackers, bitch.
That was just I've always enjoyed this movie ever since I was a kid. And coming back to it, and there's so many people that I know personally that are like, yeah, that's a badass movie. But if I mention it in any other circles besides my friends, most people are like, what? I don't think I've
Yeah,
ever
most
seen
people
it before.
haven't seen it. You know.
Yeah, a lot of the main John Carpenter movies that everybody's seen is Big Trouble.
I think if I were going to explain
The
this
Thing.
movie to someone or like try to capture their interest, like if you really like a Twilight Zone style show of any sort and you want to see that in long form with really good detail, like, you know, attention to detail, you'll like this movie.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it pulls on that Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And it's like a Twilight Zone episode into a feature mixed with some H.P. Lovecraft, and then you got a little bit of Stephen King in there too.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
put that in a blender and have John Carpenter serve it to you.
Yeah.
With a swarmy Sam Neill.
Yeah. Who's got a fucking bitchin' pair of jeans.
Bitchin' pair of boots too.
Them boots are cool.
He's out boot scooting in those motherfuckers, right? And that motherfucker knows
boogie.
He knows how to line dance in that shit.
Come on, baby, let's go. Boot scoot.
Shaka bra.
All right.
There's
But yeah.
That kind of wraps it up for our John Carpenter Apocalypse trilogy. Any more thoughts on the trilogy as a whole, real quick?
Trilogy as a whole.
I'm getting signs over here from
Now,
producer
trilogy.
Mitch.
Yeah.
Trilogy is loose. I would use the word trilogy loosely.
Yes. I think that John Carpenter has been through a lot of
Companion. I would use companion piece trilogy kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. But he's gone through a lot of conferences where he's talked about it.
Okay.
And he's brought it up. So I think it came up and he was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You
We could
know?
just-
It wasn't intended.
It definitely
but
wasn't intended.
But it came out in the right way.
Sure.
It came out at the right time. Because there's two in the 80s, one in the 90s, And that's I mean, there's so much shit that you could do with all of these, and you could really look into a lot more aspects of them. But I think this really does kind of bookend that trilogy for it. Now, if there was a director that didn't really necessarily have his own trilogy, that was like part 1, part 2, part 3, you know, I mean, this is his.
Sure.
So, and it's really cool the way that they put it together, as in, you know, the destruction of the individual, destruction of God, destruction of reality.
I like
you could do it 1, 2, 3, but not necessarily. They could all stand alone by themselves.
Sure. And I like it starting with the destruction of the individual with the distrust, and I like it ending with essentially the destruction of the world, but reality as we know it.
Reality as a whole.
Yeah. So
Mitch?
it is a good ending to the
Final thoughts, Mitch?
Reality is what you make of it.
Ooh,
That's right.
nice. Ancient Amish.
No,
proverb.
it's a good movie. To be honest, I don't really remember it that well. And talking about it does make me want to watch it again. So I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
and it's not, like I said before, it's not long. You know,
No,
you
no,
can really
no.
just kind of walk through, you know.
You kind of
watch
get through it really fast, and you're thinking, "Oh, there's not that much more. Oh, I'm almost done. What?" Even when we were talking about it, I'm like, "Oh shit, the movie's almost over."
Yeah.
Well, especially for replay value, I think that's a just nice thing because
it
that way
is.
you don't feel obligated to watch a 3-hour Lord of the Rings movie.
And I like
them.
And I like the
and you love them for what they are, because
Yes.
that's the story that you could tell on those.
Exactly. They're
You
great.
can't have a 3-hour in the mouth of madness, or you would be mad by the end of it.
Yeah.
Right. I like the Twilight Zone poll because I really feel that's a good way to recommend it to someone, or to at least describe it. You know, it's kind of like a full-length Twilight Zone episode in a way.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, I guess that about does it for this. On a future podcast, I think we're going to really kind of dig into a little bit more of just John Carpenter, the man himself. That might come a little bit later.
Down the road somewhere.
Down the
We're going
road
to fit
in
that
there.
in at some point.
Kind of get it in there. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us. You can really listen to us in all of our other episodes. We got Buckaroo Banzai. Fucking badass.
Listen, leave a comment.
Anything you want to.
Yeah.
Email
Let us know.
Yeah.
What's our email address?
dropculturepodcast@gmail.com.
There we go.
Or you
And-
can hit us up on Twitter @culturedropped, or I think it's just Drop Culture on Facebook, correct?
Yes, at Drop Culture, and our Instagram is at Drop Culture Podcast.
Hit up the gram.
Hit the gram. Hit
up
some
the
likes.
Twitterverse. Get
We
out
only
there.
We only get about 3
Grams and twats, baby. Grams and twats. I
Yeah, you know, just
Grams and twats.
get out there. Let us know.
think I'm going to make a T-shirt that just says Grams and twats. We'll sell that on like our website.
Yeah.
It's like
Grams.
Boats and Hose is the theme.
Exactly,
But they just
yeah.
replace it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grams and twats.
Grams
Grams,
and
and
twats.
twats.
It'd
The
work.
Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. I do you in the bottom
know-
while I'm drinking sangria.
Shaka bra.
All right, guys. Have a good night.